Hello everyone, this is Sumit Bose and I'm from the Bodhi Academy. Today we are going to start the chapter from the diary of Annie Frank. So, with, so without any further delay, let's start. Writing in a diary is really a strange experience for someone like me. Not only because I have never written anything before, but also because it seems to me that later on neither I nor anyone else will be interested in the musings and of a 13 years old schoolgirl. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I feel like writing and I have an even greater need to get all kinds of things of my chest. Paper was more patience than people. I thought of this saying on one of those days when I was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with my chin in my hands, bored and listless, wondering whether to stay or to go out. I finally stayed where I was, brooding. Yes, paper does have a more patience, and since I'm not planning to let anyone else read this stiff back notebook, grandly referred to as a diary, unless I should ever find a real friend now, it probably won't make a big difference. Now I'm back to the point that prompted me to keep a diary in the first place. I don't have a friend. Let me put it more clearly, since no one will believe that a 13-year-old girl is completely alone in this world, and I'm not. I have loving parents, a 16-year-old sister, and there are about 30 people I can call friends. I have a family, loving aunts, and good home. No, on the surface, I seem to have everything except my one true friend. All I think about when I'm with friends is having a good time. I can't bring myself to talk about anything but ordinary, everyday things. We don't seem to be able to get any closer, and that's the problem. Maybe it is my fault that we don't confide in each other. In any case, there's just how things are, and unfortunately, they are not liable to change. This is why I have started the diary. To enhance the image of this long awaited friend in my imagination, I don't want to jot down facts in the diary the way most people would do, but I want the diary to be my friend, and I am going to call it this friend Kitty. Since no one would understand a word of my stories, Kitty, if I were to plunge right in, I would better provide a brief sketch of my life, much as dislike doing so. My father, the most adorable father I ever seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. My sister Margot was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926. I was born in 12 June 1929, lived in Frankfurt until I was 4. My father emigrated to Holland in 1933. My mother, Edith Hollander Frank, went with him to Holland in September. While Margot and I were sent to Aachen to stay with our grandmother, Margot went in Holland in December and I followed in February when I was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margot. I started right away at the Montessori Missionary School. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started in the first form. In the sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Caprius, the headmistress. At the end of the year, we both in tears and we said a heartbreaking farewell. In the summer 1941, grandma fell ill and had to be and had to have an operation. So my birthday passed with little celebration. Grandma died in January 1942. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and Grandma's candle was lit along with the rest. The four of us are still doing well, and that brings me to the present day, 28th June 1942, and the solemn dedication of my diary. Dearest Kitty, so Annie Frank is writing her experiences in her diary, which she lovingly calls Kitty. Saturday 20th June 1942. Our entire class is quaking in its boots. The reason, of course, is the forthcoming meeting in which the teachers decide who will move up to the next and who will be kept back. Half the class is making bets. Gian and I laugh ourselves silly at two boys behind us, Cian and Jax, who have staked their entire holiday savings on their bet. From morning to night, it's you're going to pass. No, I'm not. You are. No, I'm not. Even G is placing glances at my angry outburst can't calm them down. If you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of the class should be kept back. But teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on earth. I am not so worried about my girlfriends and myself. We will make it. The only subject I'm not sure about is maths. Anyway, all we can do is wait. Until then, we keep telling each other not to lose heart. I get along pretty well with all my teachers. There are 9 of them, 7 men and 2 women. Mr. Kissing is the old foggy who teaches maths. Was annoyed with me for ages because I talked so much. After several warnings, he assigned me an extra homework, an essay on the subject, a chatterbox. A chatterbox, what can you write about that? I would worry about it later. I decided. I jotted down the title in my notebook, tucked in my bag, and tried to keep quiet. That evening, after I had finished the rest of my homework, the note about my essay caught my eye. I began thinking about the subject while chewing the tip of my fountain pen. Anyone could ramble and leave big specks between the words, but the trick was to come up with convincing arguments to prove the necessity of talking. I thought, and suddenly I had an idea. I wrote the 3 pages of Mr. Kissing had assigned me and was satisfied. I argued that talking is a student's trait and that I would do my best to keep it under control. But that I would never be able to cure myself of the habit since my mother talked as much as I did, if not more, and there's not much you can do about inherited traits. Mr. Kissing had a good laugh at my arguments, but when I proceeded to talk my way through the next lesson, he assigned me a second essay. This time it was supposed to be on an incorrigible chatterbox. I handled it in, and Mr. Kissing had nothing to complain about for 2 whole lessons. However, during the 3rd lesson, he said enough. Annie Frank, as punishment for talking class, write an essay entitled "Quack Quack Quack," said Mr. Chatterbox. So basically, Annie Frank had the habit to talk during the class, so that's why the teacher made her to write an essay in the chatterbox about the chatterbox. Okay. The class roared. I had to laugh too, though I had nearly exhausted my ingenuity on the topic of the chatterboxes. It was time to come up with something else, something original. My friend Sani, who good, who's good at poetry, offered to help me to write an essay from beginning and end and verse and jump for joy. Mr. Kissing was trying to play a joke on me, this ridiculous subject, but I would make sure that the joke was on him. I finished my poem and it was beautiful. It was about a mother duck and a father swan with three baby ducklings who were bitten to death by the father because they quacked too much. Luckily, Mr. Kissen took the joke in the right way. He read the poem in the class, adding his own comments and several other classes as well. Since then, I have never allowed to talk and haven't been assigned any extra homework. On the contrary, Mr. Kissen is always making jokes these days. So, I hope you all understood the lesson, and for more information and details, please contact the Bodhi Academy.